The rain pounded against the windows of the old brownstone in Brooklyn as Kyle slammed the door shut behind him, his heart racing from the confrontation at school. He had just punched his best friend Mike in the face after overhearing him laugh about fags ruining the football team. Not knowing the words cut deeper than any blade for Kyle. But as he peeled off his soaked hoodie, the one he never removed, even in the sweltering summer heat, he stared at the faded label inside. Ben's. Ben, his older brother, gone 2 years now from a car crash that no one talked about. Kyle's hands trembled as he hung it up, the fabric still carrying a faint scent of cologne that reminded him of secrets buried too deep. That night, dinner was the usual tense affair. His father, Reverend Thomas Harlan, sat at the head of the table, his Bible open beside his plate like a silent judge. "Kyle, you look like a hoodlum in that rag," Thomas grumbled, forking into his meatloaf. "Time to let go of childish things." Kyle's mother, Ellen, glanced up nervously, her eyes pleading for peace. She knew better than to challenge Thomas, whose sermons at the local church railed against moral decay in modern America. Kyle bit his tongue, but inside, a storm brewed. He wasn't just clinging to the hoodie. It was a shield against the world that had taken Ben and left him questioning everything. After dinner, Kyle retreated to his room, the walls plastered with posters of indie bands Ben had loved. He pulled out the hidden box under his bed, filled with Ben's old journals. Flipping through the pages, he landed on an entry dated 3 years ago. "Met Chris today at the coffee shop. He's got this smile that lights up the room. Dad would kill me if he knew." Kyle's breath caught. Chris. The name appeared more frequently, descriptions of stolen kisses in Central Park, arguments about coming out. Ben had been in love with a man. Kyle slammed the journal shut, his mind reeling. If Dad found out, it would destroy the family's pristine image. But worse, Kyle felt a pang of recognition. Lately, his thoughts about Mike weren't just friendly. They were dangerous. The next morning, Kyle skipped breakfast and headed to school, the hoodie pulled low over his eyes. In the hallway, Mike cornered him, a bruise blooming on his cheek. "What the hell, man? You hit me over a joke." Mike's voice was low, hurt mingling with anger. Kyle hesitated, the words bubbling up. "It wasn't a joke to me." Mike's eyes widened, then narrowed. "Wait, are you?" Kyle turned away, heart pounding. He couldn't say it. Not yet. But as classes dragged on, whispers followed him. Someone had seen the punch, and rumors spread like wildfire. By lunch, the football team glared at him from across the cafeteria. Kyle sat alone, picking at his food, wondering if Ben had felt this isolation. That afternoon, practice was brutal. Coach yelled at Kyle for missing catches, but it was the sidelong glances from teammates that stung. After, in the locker room, Jake, the team captain, shoved him against the wall. "Heard you're defending queers now. That why you wear that stupid hoodie? Hiding something?" Kyle shoved back, adrenaline surging. "Back off, Jake." But Jake laughed, ripping at the hoodie's sleeve. "Or what? You'll cry to your preacher daddy." The scuffle ended with Coach breaking it up, suspending Kyle for the week. Walking home, Kyle felt the weight of judgment pressing down. He needed answers about Ben, about himself. Digging deeper that evening, Kyle searched online for Chris, using Ben's old email clues. He found a profile, Chris Ramirez, a graphic designer in Manhattan. Heart racing, Kyle messaged him anonymously, "New Ben Harlan. Need to talk." The reply came quick. "Who is this?" "Ben's been gone 2 years." Kyle typed back, "His brother." "Meet me?" They agreed on a coffee shop in the village the next day. As Kyle lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, doubt crept in. What if Chris confirmed everything? What if it changed nothing or everything? The meeting was awkward. Chris, mid-20s with kind eyes, sat across from Kyle in the bustling cafe. "You look like him," Chris said softly, stirring his latte. Kyle nodded, clutching his coffee. "Tell me about you too." Chris hesitated, then spoke of how they met at an art exhibit, how Ben's laugh was infectious, how they dreamed of a life together away from judgment. But Ben was terrified of your family. Your dad. He preached against people like us. Kyle winced. Did he ever plan to tell them? Chris shook his head. He wanted to, but the crash stole that chance. Tears welled in Chris's eyes. He loved you, kid. Said you'd understand someday. Walking back to Brooklyn, Kyle's mind swirled. Ben had hidden his truth, and it cost him peace. Kyle couldn't do the same, but confronting his feelings for Mike meant risking everything. Family, friends, his place in the world. That night, a text from Mike. We need to talk. Kyle's stomach knotted. The confrontation was coming, and he wasn't ready. Mike showed up at Kyle's door the next evening, his face still marked from the punch. Can we go for a walk? He asked, voice steady but eyes uncertain. They wandered the quiet streets of Brooklyn, the city lights flickering on as dusk fell. Kyle kept his hands in his hoodie pockets, avoiding Mike's gaze. About yesterday, Mike started. I didn't mean it like that, but you hit me hard, man. What's going on? Kyle stopped under a street lamp, the glow casting shadows on his face. It's about Ben. And me. He took a deep breath. Ben was gay. He loved a guy named Chris. And I think I am too. Mike's reaction was a punch to the gut. Silence. Then a step back. Whoa, Kyle. That's heavy. No anger, but no embrace either. They walked on, the air thick with unspoken words. Mike finally spoke. I felt stuff too. Confused, you know? But my folks, they're old-school Italian. They'd disown me. Kyle's heart leaped, then sank. Shared confusion, but fear held them both captive. They parted with an awkward hug, Mike whispering, Don't tell anyone yet. Back home, tension simmered. Thomas noticed Kyle's distraction at dinner. Boy, you've been moping. School trouble? Kyle muttered about the suspension, but Thomas pressed. It's that hoodie, symbol of laziness. Take it off. Ellen interjected softly. Tom, let him be. But Thomas's eyes hardened. No, we're a respectable family. I won't have my son looking like a delinquent. Kyle stormed upstairs, slamming his door. In his room, he clutched the hoodie, tears falling. It was more than fabric. It was Ben's armor against a world like this. The suspension days blurred into isolation. Kyle messaged Chris Moore, learning details. Ben's plans to move to San Francisco, away from the East Coast conservatism. He wanted you to join him someday, Chris said in a call. Said you were sensitive like him. Kyle confided his feelings for Mike. It's scary, Chris advised, but hiding eats you alive. Inspired, Kyle decided to test the waters with his mom. Over coffee one afternoon, he casually mentioned a friend struggling with identity. Ellen's face paled. Kyle, our church teaches love, but some things are sins. Her words crushed him. If she reacted like that to a hypothetical, what about the truth? School resumed with whispers. Jake spread rumors. Kyle is soft, probably why he defends queers. Mike avoided him in halls, fueling the fire. During lunch, a group cornered Kyle. Prove you're not one of them, Jake sneered, shoving him. Kyle stood firm. I don't need to prove anything. A punch flew, but Mike intervened, pulling Jake back. Leave him alone. The cafeteria erupted, teachers breaking it up. In the principal's office, Mike sat beside Kyle, silent. Later, alone in the parking lot, Mike confessed, I couldn't watch that, but it's complicated. That night, Kyle journaled like Ben had, pouring out fears. A knock, Ellen. Honey, what's wrong? She sat on his bed, concern etched. Kyle hesitated, then showed her a photo of Ben and Chris he'd gotten from Chris. Ben was in love with him. Ellen gasped, hand to mouth. No, your father can't know. Tears streamed. Ben was my boy. I suspected, but I failed him. She hugged Kyle tight. Promise me you'll be careful. Relief mixed with sorrow. At least one ally. But secrets breed betrayal. The next day, Kyle overheard Ellen on the phone with her sister. Kyle found out about Ben. I'm scared he's going down the same path. Hurt stabbed deep. Even Mom doubted. He confronted her that evening. You think it's a path? Like a choice? Ellen faltered. I just want you safe, Kyle. Society isn't kind. Their argument escalated. Voices rising until Thomas burst in. What's this? Ellen clammed up, but Kyle's anger boiled. Nothing, Dad. Just family secrets. The rift widened. Mike texted, meet at the park? They sat on a bench, the Hudson River glittering nearby. I like you, Kyle. More than friends. Mike's admission hung in the air, electric. They leaned in, a tentative kiss under the stars. But as they pulled apart, fear returned. What now? Kyle asked. Mike sighed. We keep it quiet. For now. The decision felt like a cage, echoing Ben's life. Quiet didn't last. A week later, at a house party, alcohol loosened tongues. Jake, drunk and vindictive, cornered Mike. Saw you with Kyle. You two fags. Mike panicked, denying everything. Nah, man. He's just weird. Kyle, overhearing from the kitchen, felt betrayal slice through him. He confronted Mike outside. You threw me under the bus? Mike stammered. I was scared. Jake's got pull on the team. Kyle walked away. Hoodie up, heart shattered. Trust broken in an instant. Home offered no solace. Thomas announced a family meeting. I've heard rumors from school parents. Kyle, are you involved in unnatural behaviors? Kyle's blood ran cold. How? Ellen avoided his gaze. Guilt evident. She had told her sister, who gossiped. Dad. It's not. Thomas interrupted. Our faith is clear. Homosexuality is a sin. If it's true, we'll get you help. Kyle exploded. Help? Like conversion therapy? Ben died hiding from this. Thomas's face reddened. Don't bring your brother into this. He was a good boy. Kyle laughed bitterly. He wasn't. He loved a man. And so do I. The room froze. Thomas stood, trembling. Get out. Until you repent. Ellen sobbed. Tom, no. But Thomas was unyielding. Kyle grabbed his backpack, stuffing Ben's journal inside, and left into the night. He crashed at Chris's apartment in Manhattan, explaining everything. Chris hugged him. You're brave, kid. Braver than Ben. But bravery came with pain. Kyle cried himself to sleep, the hoodie his only comfort. The next days were a blur of survival. Chris helped Kyle find a part-time job at a bookstore, but school suffered. Mike called repeatedly, apologizing. I messed up. I love you. Kyle hung up, torn. Forgiveness meant vulnerability. Meanwhile, Ellen texted secretly, Come home. Dad's cooling off. But Thomas's sermons grew fiercer, railing against the gay agenda threatening families. Kyle attended one anonymously, hearing his father say, Even in our homes, the devil lurks. It felt personal, a direct attack. Reconnecting with Mike happened unexpectedly. At a protest in Washington Square Park for LGBTQ rights, Kyle spotted him in the crowd. What are you doing here? Kyle asked, wary. Mike held a sign. Love is love. Making amends. I told my parents. They freaked, but I'm done hiding. They talked for hours, rebuilding trust. A second kiss, this time public, sealed it. But joy was short-lived. Photos from the protest circulated online, tagging Kyle. The backlash hit hard. Thomas called, furious. You've shamed us. The church is boycotting my services. Kyle met him at a neutral cafe. Dad, this is who I am. Like Ben. Thomas's eyes filled with tears for the first time. Ben, I suspected, but I pushed him away. The crash. He was driving to meet that man. Revelation hit Kyle like a truck. Ben's death wasn't random. It was fueled by despair. You knew. Thomas nodded. I failed him. Don't make me fail you. But reconciliation. Not yet. Thomas left, conflicted. Society's pressure mounted. At school, bullying intensified. Jake keyed Kyle's locker with slurs. Mike stood by him, but it cost Mike his spot on the team. Worth it, Mike said. But Kyle saw the regret. Their relationship deepened, but every date felt shadowed by fear. One night, walking home, a group of strangers shouted insults, throwing bottles. They ran, bruised but unbroken. This is the price, Kyle whispered. Mike nodded. For us. The price escalated. Ellen, caught between husband and son, chose sides. She showed up at Chris's with a suitcase. I'm leaving your father. I can't watch this destroy us. Kyle hugged her, but guilt gnawed. Had his truth fractured the family? They moved into a small apartment in Queens, Ellen working double shifts. Thomas called daily, pleading then threatening. Come back, or I'll cut you off. Kyle refused, but the financial strain hurt. Mike's family reacted worse. His father kicked him out after finding love notes. Mike joined Kyle and Ellen, the trio forming an unlikely refuge. But cramped quarters bred tension. Arguments over money, space, futures. We can't keep this up, Ellen said one night. Kyle felt responsible. It's my fault. Mike reassured. No, it's society's. Yet doubt lingered. A turning point came via Chris. He introduced Kyle to a support group for LGBTQ youth. Their stories mirrored his. Hidden loves, family rejections, societal scorn. One speaker, a lawyer, discussed legal protections. Inspired, Kyle volunteered, organizing events. Empowerment grew, but so did opposition. A counter-protest at a pride march turned violent. Kyle got pepper-sprayed defending a friend. Hospitalized, he reflected. Was visibility worth the pain? Mike proposed they move in together after graduation. Start fresh in California. Kyle hesitated. Leaving meant abandoning Ellen, the fight. But staying meant endless battles. The decision weighed heavy. Meanwhile, Thomas reached out via letter. I've been reading, praying. Meet me? They met at the old brownstone. Thomas looked aged. I was wrong about Ben, about you, but the church. They expect me to stand firm. Kyle challenged. Choose family over flock. Thomas wavered, promising change, but actions spoke louder. Betrayal struck again. Jake, seeking revenge, outed Mike to his extended family online. Death threats followed. Mike broke down. Maybe we should end this. Kyle fought back tears. No, we've come too far. They recommitted, but the damage lingered. Ellen, seeing their struggle, confronted Thomas. Our sons deserved better. Sons, plural, including Mike. Thomas crumbled, agreeing to therapy. High school ended with mixed emotions. Graduation. Kyle walked the stage in Ben's hoodie, a symbol of defiance. Cheers from supporters, boos from others. Mike beside him, hand in hand. But post-ceremony, Thomas approached. I'm stepping down from the pulpit. For you. Tears flowed. Reconciliation tentative but real. Post-graduation brought new challenges. Kyle and Mike enrolled in community college, working jobs. Ellen reconciled with Thomas slowly. Family dinners awkward but healing. Yet society pushed back. Job interviews. Subtle discriminations. You seem alternative. One boss said, eyeing the hoodie. Kyle removed it finally in a symbolic act during a therapy session. It's time. But letting go meant facing raw vulnerability. A major conflict arose when Thomas's former church picketed their home, calling them sinners. Media caught wind. Preacher's son comes out, splits family. Interviews requests flooded. Kyle agreed to one, sharing Ben's story. He died hiding. I won't. The piece went viral, sparking debates. Support poured in, but hate mail too. One letter. You'll burn in hell. Mike worried. This exposure. It's dangerous. Indeed, a stalker emerged, harassing online then in person. Police involved, but fear gripped. Is this the life we want? Mike asked. Kyle pondered. Fight or flee? They chose fight, speaking at rallies. Empowerment, but exhaustion set in. Ellen suffered a health scare, stress-induced heart palpitation. Your battles are killing me, she admitted. Guilt returned. Thomas stepped up, publicly denouncing his old views in an op-ed. I lost one son to silence. I won't lose another. The piece shifted public opinion locally. Personal growth deepened. Kyle interned at an LGBTQ nonprofit, helping others. Mike pursued art, inspired by Chris. Their love strengthened, but temptations tested. A college flirtation for Mike led to a confession. I didn't act, but I thought about it. Kyle forgave, but trust frayed. We're young. Is this forever? Doubts mirrored Ben's journals. A climax built. A family reunion where Thomas invited Chris. Tensions high. You were Ben's secret, Thomas said. Chris nodded. And his joy. Stories shared. Tears shed. Healing began. But outside, protests raged against a new anti-LGBT bill. Kyle joined, arrested for civil disobedience. Bailed out by Thomas. Proud of you, son. The act solidified change. Release brought reflection. Kyle, Mike, and family navigated normalcy. Dinners without sermons, laughs over memories. But scars remained. Kyle visited Ben's grave, hoodie in hand. I did it for us. He buried a piece of it there, closing a chapter. Years condensed. College graduations, careers. Kyle became an advocate, Mike a teacher. They married in a small ceremony, Thomas officiating. Ellen beamed. But society evolved unevenly. Setbacks like policy reversals reminded them vigilance was key. Looking back, choices defined them. Hiding versus revealing. Forgiveness over grudges. Love despite pain. Each paid dearly. Lost friends, family rifts, personal wounds. But awakenings brought purpose. Was coming out worth the destruction it caused? Or should some truths remain buried to preserve fragile peace?